voice actor, and I just got interviewed by Keith Andrew, and he is doing an amazing job with his YouTube channel, and I highly suggest to go to his YouTube channel and subscribe.
For people who want to know what is the Keith Andrew Network, the whole point of my talk show is to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities, and never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, to prove them you can still amount to something. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith Andrew. You're watching the Keith Andrew Network, available on all social medias. Today we sit down with Heath Miller. That's right, Heath Miller, here only on the Keith Andrew Network. Now, for me, if the name is easy to pronounce, I do, as obviously you just heard from the recommendation, you will introduce yourself. But if the name is easy for me to remember and pronounce, I do say it. Let's do something a little different. But with that being said, it's an honor and privilege having you here once again for a one-on-one interview, and let's have fun with it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Absolutely. And you can keep it PG, PG-13, rated M, freedom of speech, self-expression. You can ask me anything you want. I have no cards on my sleeve. Normal conversation, make a new friend of it. So I'm going to ask you the top 15 questions.
Okay.
You can answer it as long as you want, as short as you want, but it doesn't mean we're going to get through all 15. But if we don't do all 15, if you're anyone who's watching to the very end, make sure to go to TikTok and Instagram, because we're going to do the sit down with Keith Andrew, where we get to do the bonus questions.
All right.
With that being said, first question I want to ask you is, what attracted you to begin your acting career?
Yeah, so what really attracted me, it was kind of like random, really, because I do come from a background that has hardly any acting experience. And my first ever acting experience was being in middle school. I was in 2 musicals, and, and I didn't do anything after that when it comes to acting. But I've always done like impressions, so I was a fan of impressions. But in high school, and once again, I didn't do anything with that either. And then just acting never really occurred to me until actually only like 4 years ago. And then that's when I decided, like one day I was home sitting on my bed, just randomly thinking, what can I do to kill some time? And for some reason, voice acting popped in my head. I was like, let me do some research and what can I do to get started in that? And I did, and then I found some like websites like to do voiceover for fun. And there was this website called Casting Call Club that I started out doing, and I was doing it as a hobby for like 8 months. And then after that, I decided I wanted to pursue it professionally. And since then, I've been represented by an agent. I begin auditions, and it's been a long journey, and in a good way, and there's still more to come. So yeah.
No, I agree with you, and we do have some mutual acquaintances. You're a big fan, just like me. Well, some people say I'm obsessive sometimes, but I love Dragon Ball. Yeah, and I did see we did have some mutual friends in common.
Yeah. Elise Bowman, who plays Pan on Dragon Ball GT, she's my voiceover coach.
Oh, nice.
And she's still my voiceover coach, and she's a very good friend of mine. And she's been awesome, and I highly recommend people who want to get in voiceover. You could go to elisecoaches.com, and whoever's interested, and she could get you started and know like the basics. And yeah, she's been very supportive, and like I said, a really good friend of mine as well since I've started, and I started this 4 years ago.
She's a total sweetheart. She's been on my show 2 times for the Christmas episode and for a one-on-one episode. and we're actually in the works of getting her back on, but she's been really busy.
Yeah. Yeah, she has, I know she does like her YouTube channel as well, Anime Adventures, that keeps her busy. And just like any other actor, they, have auditions and that keeps them busy too as well. So,
No, absolutely. For just do a little plug for her because I said I will occasionally do that. Go to Anime Adventures with Elise Bowman. It's a fantastic person, amazing at what she does. Great interviews from her. I actually learned from her. You know,
mm-hmm.
I might take some acting classes from her, but it doesn't even work out
Yeah.
the time difference because when
Mm-hmm.
she does it, it's like 10 at night. And I'm like, well, I'm not saying I'm old or anything, but
Yeah.
past a certain time, I'm kind of like half coherent. So we can always work on that.
Right. Okay.
But let me ask you, because we have let's see, like a passion for Dragon Ball. Do you or have you ever met any of the other castmates from Dragon Ball?
Yeah. So here in Texas, where I'm at, they'll do like conventions called KamehaCon, and they have every actor, well, not every actor, but a lot of actors who've been in Dragon Ball. And I met quite a few amount of actors, and Stephanie Nadolny I met, and now she's a good friend of mine as well. Um, Linda Young, I met her too. Who else? Kyle Haybear, who does the voice of Adult Gohan and the narrator, and Jeremy Inman, who does Android 16, and lots of others, and including like the Ocean dub, like Peter Clemis. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He does the voice of Goku. And yeah, and it's been a blast meeting them. They're all very friendly, very nice, and very welcoming when you go up to their table and just casually talk to them. And they're always, engaging in conversations with the fans. And yeah, they take, everything, they put everything like to an impact in people's lives, who grew up watching Dragon Ball. So yeah, and of course, I was a fan of it as a kid myself, and seeing them in person, it's a huge blessing in a way.
Well, let me
So
ask you, have you taken pictures with them or just got autographs?
no, I normally just take pictures. And so yeah, I've got a few pictures with, of course, with Elise, Stephanie Nadolny, Linda Young, Jeremy Inman. I got pictures. Um, who else?
Well,
I think.
if you send me the pictures, they definitely will be in the video.
Oh, okay, yeah, I could definitely do that. And so yeah, I could send pictures. So yeah, but yeah, they're like I said, they're very friendly, and they give you acting tips or advice, I should say, whoever wants to start pursuing this career.
Well, actually, you bring up my next question. That's actually question number three. But let me ask you two questions at the same time.
Yeah, of
The
course.
second one is, what is the biggest change you want to make in your acting career? Well, yes, acting career. And after meeting some of our mutual friends, what were some of the best acting advice you have ever gotten?
The best acting advice I've got really is just you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to like embarrass yourself. You gotta put yourself out there. And that's one thing, like never be shy, because acting really, especially when it comes to voiceover, you really gotta make a fool out of yourself in a good way. So like you'll be talking to yourself, you'll be screaming at yourself, but hey, like it's definitely worth it, because casting directors, like when you audition, they could see that you've been practicing. And so like another one, and this is just another personal one for me, is that diction is a big key to voiceover, because for the longest time, I guess I was like saying words incorrectly. And directors or whoever, they catch that. So I was, pronouncing some words wrong for a really long time. But, diction is a big key, and that's really good to have. And so I was able to take diction classes because of that. And and it's made a difference. And the second question, what was the second question again? I'm sorry.
Oh, what were some of the best advice you have gotten?
Oh, I guess I answered that for the first one.
Oh, I'm sorry. The second one is what is the biggest change you want to make?
Oh, the biggest change. That's a really good question. I never really thought about that. But the biggest change, you know, is that I just want to, make an impact, you know, in people's lives, whoever like wanna, get into voiceover. And like maybe like because like I like when people ask me like, oh, how do you get into it, and I like being helpful in that way. And I know I haven't got too much of that, so I like that to be like a change for me, for I get to give other people advice for once, or how to get started. And so yeah, and I think that would be pretty cool to do.
All right, so I'm just gonna throw this out at you. Yeah, I can't stop looking at you, and not in that way. Obviously, I don't swing that way, but I'm looking at you, and I'm like, you look and you sound similar to Cody Rhodes. Are you a professional wrestling fan? So are you like, do you like Cody Rhodes? Is that why you have his hairstyle? Because you could be a stunt double. You look exactly like him.
Oh, really? Yeah, and no, I'm not a big wrestling fan. I remember just kind of watching it when I was a kid with my dad, but I was never like big. I just, if it was on TV, I would just be like, oh, okay, two guys, wrestling in the ring. But no, I'm not too familiar with the name. But hey, I mean, if I could pull off being a stunt double, then why not, right?
That's true. I will send you the link as soon as we're done. Now,
Okay.
now the next one I want to ask you is let's see, looking for some good ones. What are some of your career highlights in this very moment?
Mhm.
And how comfortable are you to teach other people everything you learned?
So my career highlights is that I've done a couple of radio spots so far. I haven't got anything like, I don't have like a list yet, but I have a few things under my name right now. And the radio spots I did, my very first one was for a what was it, for a UTA, so University of Arlington commercial, and that was just I was pretty much saying like, oh, you can get this deal, you can get these tickets on sale at this price, kind of thing. And so yeah, that was pretty fun. That was my very first voiceover credit. And then my second one that I did was another, obviously, radio spot, and that was for like a plumbing commercial, and I played like the husband character. And so because my wife asked me a question, and then I just added a little humor to it. And so, but yeah, those are my highlights so far. And this to the second question, yeah, like I'll be comfortable telling people. It's just I would just like kind of tell them the basics, because me personally, there are things that I'm still kind of learning. And if I'm not too sure, I would like ask like my voiceover coach Elise, or whoever else is in the voiceover industry that I personally know. So yeah, but yeah, I'm pretty comfortable telling people like the basics and how to get started, kind of thing.
Now, this is the big challenge about being in the voiceover world. Because anyone asks you, because I bet, I don't know, I bet you $1. That's all I have. I bet you $1. Have you ever asked Elise or Chuck Herbert's also a great guy, can you do the impressions? They're like, sure, no problem. Now, if someone, I saw a video when you're imitating Master Rosie. So
Yeah.
if you were doing like an autograph signing and you're doing auditions in general, how
Mhm.
comfortable are you acting and performing in front of a group of strangers?
Yeah, I would, to be honest, I would say like 90% comfortable. The reason 90%, because like maybe there's a character, they'll say, hey, oh, hey, do a character, but they don't know who the character is, or they'll just be like, oh, just do something. I was like, okay, but because I'm not too sure if they know the character, so I'll be like, have you heard of that one? I'm like, maybe. But if I know they're 100% familiar with the character, or know how they sound like, and I know for a fact that I could sound pretty close to them, then I'm more comfortable doing that.
Hey, so
So,
let's have some fun with this. What are your top two favorite people you like to imitate?
Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, and Patrick from SpongeBob. Those are
Like,
my yeah. So oh, do you want me to do the
if you're
impression?
okay with it.
Oh yeah, of course. So like with Stitch, I'll be like, my name is Stitch. My family. I'm experiment 626. And then, like with Patrick, I always say like, to my coworker actually, because he's a SpongeBob fan, I'll be like, that's just fancy talk, SpongeBob. You want to be fancy? Hold your pinky up like this. So stuff like that. Those are my
Hey,
top.
you can, not to interrupt, I apologize.
Oh no, no, you're fine.
You can do laps around me. I can do a couple impressions, but nothing that good. So I take
Oh,
my hat off to you.
oh okay. Appreciate it.
But if I interrupt, I do apologize.
No, no, you're all good. No worries.
For me, for me doing impressions, I can do Ray Romano, not in that way, obviously. If I can imitate Ray Romano. Hey, come on! I went to the supermarket today. I bought
Oh,
deodorant, and now you're using it. Why can't you just go and buy your own?
yeah. Oh, that's
But
awesome. I like it.
but if anyone says, "Oh, that sounds like number two," I mean, it doesn't sound like shit. But number two from Adventure Brothers, that's also like, I mean,
Okay.
the same voice. Everyone tries to imitate Ray Romano.
Yeah.
Let's see. When I was in high school, now I'm dating myself. When I was in high school, I used to imitate Yogi Bear. Hey, boo boo, how you do?
There you
But you would agree, there's certain characters, but anyone say, "Oh, I can do that, I can do this." But the Stitch voice that you did and the Patrick voice, hands down, I'm not kissing your ass. Hands down, those were perfect. Now, if you
Thank
would ask me to do it, I would actually butcher it.
you. Yeah, because I know, like in the acting world, not everyone obviously could do impressions on every single character, or like he could be the best voice actor, best actor, just in general. But sometimes people just can't do it. I mean, I know the one I tried the most at was Mickey Mouse, and like I can only say like two words, in his voice. I like it's hard to like maintain it. So I'll be like, oh, that. But other than that, I can't maintain it after that. So, but yeah,
Actually, I want to change it up a little bit because this is what
sure.
it's all about on the Key Advantage Network, having fun, being spontaneous.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked in retail and have you ever done any voices that's to mess with customers?
No, I have retail. Well, I take that back. I worked in retail for one day, but I didn't know them enough to like do impressions to them yet. But I do have a funny story where I kind of messed with my teachers, back in middle school, and it wasn't an impression. This is back when cell phones were the flip phones back in the day, and I remember my English class and my history class. Some of my friends asked me to make that cell phone vibration noise, when someone's calling you, and so I would kind of do that, I'd be like, kind of like that, and then of course like the teachers will be like, who's doing that, what's going on, or if your phone's going off, please turn it off, kind of thing. So I mean, I would fool my teachers doing that back in the day, but I haven't fooled any like like coworkers or anything, unless they ask me to. Like I haven't like really joked with them, but they say, oh, you could do this, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, can you do it? I'm like, yeah, sure. So then I'll do it for them if they ask.
For me, I used to work over at Walmart, and
Okay.
it's oh too fun. Oh, actually, I can tell you after. I can tell you now. There's this woman who came with her kids, and the kid was crying, having a temper tantrum, and all that.
Yeah.
And when someone says something out of the blue, and I think it's funny, because I can't hide it. I don't have a good poker face.
Uh,
So she said, you know, if you keep doing like that, I'm gonna drop you right here. Boy, I'm gonna drop you right here. As soon as she said the words, I'm gonna drop you right here, I started to laugh and I turned away. She looked at me. I'm sorry. That was just funny.
oh yeah. It's just like it's in that moment. It just has to like, come out of you, like you just can't help it sometimes. But yeah, I get
But
it.
the other funny one was I imitated Yoda. And then sometimes she does have to have the I don't give a damn attitude. If you have to have fun with people because you have to, one, it's a story. Two, you want to be professional and you want to make an impression. Of course, you don't want to be like an asshole about it, but this woman was buying a nightlight. And he's like, you know what? He doesn't need it. In the dark, he will. Fear the dark, he is.
That's perfect. Perfect response.
And
Yeah,
you're
it's
like, oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say it's always fun, just to bring out, humor and impressions because I feel like that's what the world needs. They need more, humor and laughter. And when especially when people are having like a down day kind of thing, it's always good to bring the positive out of that.
I agree. Now, the next one I want to ask you is, what are some of your claims of fame, and what are you most likely to become famous for?
Interesting. Um, yeah, I'm not I'm not too sure about that, but I'm most famous for mm, as
We
of
can
right now.
always we can always come back to those if we want to.
Yeah, we could come back to that one.
Actually, this one's a good one because we were talking about people who you admire. And actually, that is a question I'm going to ask you. Number nine, who do you admire and why do you admire them?
Um, so I mean, there's so many voice actors, you know, but sorry about that. Um, the reason I admire Kenny James, who's the voice of Bowser, and I have a small story to tell you about that because he's kind of the reason why I just decided to pursue voiceover professionally. Because I was at home one day, I was on call, I was working at a hospital, and so like I said, I was on call. I was kind of waiting for the phone to ring, say, "Hey, you got to come in," this and that. And then I saw on Instagram that Kenny James he was doing like a live video, and then he was accepting requests from fans, just to chat with him for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And then I was like, okay, so I'm watching it for a bit, and then he was talking to this one fan, the first fan. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna send him a request, see if he'll accept it, kind of thing. And sure enough, he did. I was like, oh, okay. So he accepted my request. I was like, oh, this is pretty neat. And then so him and I, we just start chatting and we were just talking about voice acting a little bit because I was doing it as a hobby at the time. And then, he was kind of giving me a little advice about, what the industry is like, how to get started, and what I need to start my journey. And then literally the next day, I told myself, I want to pursue this. Like I want this to be my career. I'm going to be really dedicated and determined with this career choice. And so because if I haven't gone to work that day, to be honest, I don't think this would really happen. And so I kind of admire Kenny. He probably doesn't know this, but I admire him in that way for because of him, he's the reason why I decided I wanted to do this professionally.
Yeah, that's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Now, not to say that sarcastically, but how they always wrap up the shows with the last couple of minutes left. But I do apologize. But I'm being serious. That's a wonderful story, and it's always good to have someone make an impression on you.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I would say over the years, but I use my brother for an inspiration. I use my dad for an inspiration. But looking at it now, there are some people who I use for an inspiration.
Hmm.
But realistically, is you don't want to be a carbon copy. You just want to be original.
Yeah.
So, not to say I have my head up my ass or anything. I guess I like to be the first to do something. Then I can say, not to say you have to be your own biggest cheerleader, but say, yes, I admire um, George Collin. I admire Dennis Leary. But
Hmm.
you don't want to do copy and paste. Or, well, they said this, so that means I should do the same. You kind of have to put your own spin on it and make yourself original. And being really original in
Yeah.
today's day and age is really hard because everything's been done before.
Right.
But I do have a couple questions for you off the air.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, if you're watching on Instagram, YouTube, definitely leave a comment. Our goal is to read the. Our goal is to reach 100 and more views. Well, as soon as you leave a comment, Heath will interact with it. I will interact with your comment. It's about bringing engagement to the interview. So don't just say, oh, you leave a comment and that's it. No, if you leave a comment, we will both interact with it. This will be shared on all social media. So definitely leave a comment. Tell us what you like, what you did not like, what we should talk about part two. Once we get 100 views, definitely doing a part two. Well, my last question I want to ask you, wrapping up our interview segment, how can our fans and listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah. So I'm on almost every social media platform. So on Instagram, you can find me at Heath Miller Voice Actor. On Facebook, Heath Nico Miller. For Twitter/X, it'll be Heath Miller VA. And I'm pretty active on all of them, but I'm a lot more active on Instagram. And on there, you can find my website if you go on my Instagram page, and I have the link to show what options where you can find me and keep in touch. And so, yeah, you can find me there.
No, absolutely. Now, stay tuned. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back from the commercial break, we will be on Instagram and TikTok. Wrapping up our interview segment, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest. I'm looking forward to part two down the road. Until we meet again, catch you later. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.